How many of you are watching this channel or have thought about, man, I need to replace my W-2. I need to replace my income so life can be better. I'm going to talk about this with the one and only Mr. Jason Pritchard. How you doing, sir?
I am doing great. Zuber, how are you?
I'm doing very, very well. I know this is a topic near and dear to your heart.
Very near and dear to my heart. I love this topic.
In fact, the first video we ever did was telling your story.
Hmm.
And your story was so monumental, it actually made the cut for my second book, 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires, right? I had hundreds of interviews to pick from, and yours was one of the 15 because of this topic.
Yeah.
There are lots of people with full-time jobs that hate their job or they want freedom so they can stay at home. I don't care what the reason is, but you want to replace your W-2 income. I have now done that twice, and we're going to talk about it. You have done that a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I did it, it took me 15 years. The second time I did it, took me 5. And when I was thinking about it this weekend, I'm like, I think I went through 3 phases. So I wanted to talk about these with you. But why don't you remind people of your journey in a couple of minutes, and we'll dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, for those of you guys that haven't followed along with my journey, I got into corporate America when I was really young, 20, 21. And I found myself on the fast track to like management and sales and management. That's what I did when I was in corporate. And so for me, I thought that was going to be my life. I thought I was going to kind of slowly climb the corporate ladder, move into like regional management, maybe corporate management, make a couple $100,000 a year, and eventually retire, have the nice house and all that stuff that comes along with it. And I found myself in my early 30s, just in this place where I was very unhappy. I was very unhappy with my job. I was very unhappy with my life in general. And I was projecting that unhappiness into my marriage, into my relationship with my kids. And I knew that I was put here on this earth to do something else. And for a long time, I always thought real estate I was always intrigued by the idea of real estate. And there was times where I thought I was going to, maybe try my hand at it. And that voice in my head kind of crept up and I talked myself out of it, went back to the corporate grind. A couple years later, I'd find myself kind of going on Bigger Pockets, looking at the different, outlets that they had. And in, my early 30s, we just, we burned the boats and we sat down, talked with my wife. We came up with the plan and we said, if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to do it. And we gave ourselves a year to figure it out. So I think for the people that are in that position, step number 1 is getting clarity on a plan. And if you have a spouse, you need to get your spouse on board and you guys need to talk very openly about what this is going to be, because that first year was hard. And I'm not going to sit here and act like it was easy. It was not some fairy tale thing. There was a lot of stressful nights. There was lots of times where I wanted to quit. And if you don't have a clear direction of where you want to go and you don't have somebody there to support you every step of the way, the likelihood that you're going to succeed in this plan is going to be pretty low. So I'd say that was step 1 for me.
Yeah, it's getting the spouse on board for a commitment like that is monumental, especially if you're going to go the burn the boats route. I said earlier in this video that I've replaced my W-2 income twice. So I'll just highlight those. And really where I want to get to is I think there are 3 phases of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier I said it took 15 years. So if you read my book, One Rental at a Time, you know that over 15 years, we built a real estate portfolio while working a full-time job that replaced our income and we rode off into the sunset. What people may not realize is since I picked up this mantle of One Rental at a Time now, which is a brand, it is trademark. I've gone and done all of that. I've now had this brand replace my income again, right? The income I was making at my job has been replaced with book sales and YouTube and all these other things. It only took 5 years this time to do that. So the first time was 15 years. The second time is 5 years. But when I look at them, I really think there are 3 phases. So here's the first phase to me. I think it takes 25% of whatever the duration is going to be is learning, and it's painful and it's slow and it's going to punch you in the mouth. It's going to test your commitment. It's going to suck. You're going to go forward and go backwards. It's going to be a grind. And again, for me on the 5-year track record, what people don't realize is for the first 12 months, I made $0. $0 in 1,000 videos. I wrote a book, right? Yep. 0. So And I think that's where everybody quits. Nobody gets past phase one. What do you think of all that?
I agree. And I think that reality of that setting in hits so hard because you immediately go from like the honeymoon phase, which is what I call it, like this
Yeah. I
excitement
did
that you
it.
get
I'm
from
out.
when I made the decision to make the change, you're pumped up, all the endorphins are running, you're really excited, and reality tends to set in very quickly. And I think you have to be prepared for that. And I'm really glad that we talk about this because I don't think enough people that have made this leap that we've made, talk as openly about what those struggles are in the first year. Right. And it's not easy. It was not easy. And it was very, very scary. And there was so many times for me when I just wanted to throw in the towel. And I know that that's right. That's what it was for you. And I think not just the education, I think is important. I think you need to layer a good accountability group or a network on top of that at the beginning. It's so important that if you're doing the self-education, but then you go and you put yourself around the same people that you've been around that may or may not be supportive of whatever this dream is of yours, it's very easy for them to get you off track. So I think you can compound your efforts by, building a new accountability group, making some new friends, stuff that we talk about all the time, building out those relationships and the network to really support you at the beginning, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, something you're big on, and I think I'll say it here as well, is you need to watch what your social media feed is, right? If you're going through the hard time, the year, the 3 years, whatever it is, and you're watching negative crap, why would you do that? I mean, talk about poisoning the well and setting yourself up for failure. And by failure, I mean stopping.
Yep.
Right. So that's phase one. Phase two, you start stacking wins. They start becoming proof points. You haven't replaced your income yet by any stretch, but you're having some success. You're no longer, having sleepless nights. It's getting better. And I think that takes about 50% of whatever the duration is going to be for you. Yep. Right. So the first one's a quarter. The next is 50%. So it's twice as long, but it actually may feel better.
Yep. And I want people to clearly define what a win is, because I think most people that get into this real estate journey, they define a win as closing a deal or making money from a deal. And you need to understand that there's a whole process that comes along before you ever close on that first rental property, sell that flip, do your first wholesale deal. So the win cannot just be the outcome. The win has to be all the progress points along the way. So if you're very clear about all of these steps that get you to the win that you want, the outcome that you want, all of those little movements of the dial getting closer and closer, those are all wins. And even though it's not money in your account, it's getting closer to where you want, and you have to learn how to relish that. So be very clear about that. Don't just say, oh, I have to close my deal in order for this to be successful. Every step that you get along the way gets you closer, and those have to be celebrated too.
Yeah. And then there's the third phase, and that's where the dam breaks, the water, whatever it is, and the money starts rolling in, right? Everybody has visions of that. Everybody's chasing that. But again, you've got to go through the dark days. You've got to start stacking win that's twice as long. And then you get to kind of step back and go, wow, right? It's here. So I didn't ask you up front because I wanted to ask you at the end. From the day you quit your job, you made that decision, you burned the boat. How long in months, years, quarters, however you track it, did you have a year where you exceeded your last W-2?
So for me, really quickly, the first year was very similar to yours. We just worked, struggled, grinded, didn't do anything, didn't make any money, closed our first deal and monetized it about 12 months in, right? That next year, we did, I think, 9 or 10 flips in year 2. Year 3 was where we hit this point that you're talking about right now. Because in year 2, if you added up all the money that we made from everything, we replaced the amount of money that I made from my job, but it still felt like the wheels could have come off at any moment. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, we're just going deal by deal. Like I was not in a space where exactly. I just did not feel in this space where anything felt like solid and we were working from like a really strong foundation. That started to come together in year 3. I started to get past the imposter syndrome kind of, hurdle that I think a lot of people get when they find this early success. And in year 3, that was when I really felt like, okay, this is where it's going to be. And that was the first time, because for me, the active income from real estate was the first kind of component of me replacing my corporate job. And then we spent, another 3, 4, 5 years accumulating rentals until that could then do it. Right. So we've had these phases, just like what you're talking about, where, you're able to do it multiple times.
Well, I was just going to go there with you because again, not only have you done the kind of flipping, then buy and hold, but now you wholesale, you're also an agent and so you're getting all these different income streams.
Yep.
And that's too many people, Jason, are chasing 5 rabbits. And if you chase 5 rabbits, you don't catch any of them.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. You've got to pick your lane, stay in your lane, go through the year of suck, go into the couple years of getting better. And then when you're finally there, then you can expand out, create multiple income streams. This whole notion of millionaires have 7 income streams is setting people up for failure.
I agree. And I think I've fallen down that trap too. I think us as entrepreneurs, visionaries, I think when we call our shots on certain things and then it happens, it gives us the confidence to think that, wow, we can throw our hat in at any ring and, we can make it happen. And I think for me, the areas, these income streams that you're talking about for me are all real estate related. Everything that I do now that I've created is a bolt on to my core business, right? So the core business, the main thing was the main thing. Then we did an offshoot of that with the rental properties, which is now another core business for us. And then we really kind of grew what we make from the brokerage and some of these other real education, coaching, those types of things. All of those things tie back to the main thing, which is real estate. And so now, we are in a position where we've replaced our income multiple ways with all things that come back, all roads lead back to real estate. So for me, that's what I'm good at. That's what I love. That's what I'm confident in. And so my focus is on that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, folks, I want you to hear that replacing your income is absolutely possible.
It is 100%.
I think the first thing is you got to pick your lane and stay in it and know it's going to suck. It's going to be really, really hard that first year. Anything that's worthwhile in life usually is pretty hard.
It is. I agree. And I think the planning, the support that you need at the beginning, realizing you're going to overcome a lot of hurdles. But I have met people, here's something that I tell a lot of people that want to get in the business. I've met a lot of people that have never done a deal. I've met a lot of people that have done lots of real estate deals. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that's done one deal and then just quit. You know what I mean? So the thing that you have to remember is we just have to keep our head down till we get that one. You know what I mean? Because if we can get that one there, that's when the snowball really starts to pick up size and speed and start going down more. So just keep your head down till you can get that one. I think it's okay to look at guys like you or me or people that have done, these longer term things and accumulated a lot of stuff, but just focus on one at the beginning. And that's it. That'll make it a lot easier than, trying to think about buying 100 rentals or 500 or whatever the goal is.
Folks, if you want to read Jason's story, it is in my second book, 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires. You can also read about April Crosley, meet Kevin, and many, many other folks. Jason, where can people find you?
Easiest place to find me is on social media, guys. I'm pretty active on Instagram and Facebook. I answer all my DMs, gets tons of messages from the One Rental at a Time community. I love supporting you guys and answering your questions. So if you need anything, questions about my journey or the things that we overcame to get here, I'd love to share and be a resource to you guys if I can.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.